It's 6:02, and I'm calling the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of November 16th, 2023 to order. May we begin with roll call?
Good evening. Just for the record, the director will be here shortly.
Sure.
Rolando Cázares,
Present.
Mike Barron,
Present.
Manuel Rangel,
Present.
Dani Narvaez,
Present.
Yushin Wang, Regina Portillo,
Present.
Daniela Sada Paz, Adolfo Martinez,
Present.
and Hector Garcia.
Present.
For the record, we do have quorum.
Thank you. May I have a motion to excuse those who aren't present today?
I make a motion to excuse those that aren't
Second.
present.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're moving on now to consider approval of minutes for the regular meeting of November 2nd, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Do we have any citizen comments?
No, so we don't. At this time, no.
Now moving on to opening up the public hearing and recommendation of an ordinance. Moving on to item 6A, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by rezoning Lot 1, Block 1104, Western Division, located at 120 Houston Street, from B1 Limited Business District to B3 Community Business District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, applicant is Eva Estrada and Juan R. Estrada, they're the owners. Eva Estrada is the applicant. The property description is Lot 1, Block 1104, Western Division, located at 120 Houston Street. The zone change request is from a B1 to a B3. The proposed use is a car lot. Letter sent 22-40 against 1. A background, on August 18, 2022, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial of the proposed zone change. However, staff was in support of the proposed zone change. An appeal letter must be submitted within 30 days of the Commission's decision to move forward to the City Council. However, a letter appealing the decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission was not submitted. Therefore, the application did not move forward to City Council. Location view, aerial view, street view, zone change signage, zoning overview, future land use, staff recommendation, staff supports the proposed zone change, proposed motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this item, please come forward.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Eva Estrada, con 120 Houston, soy la dueña de la propiedad, he estado ahí por 35 años, mi abuelo, mi padre y yo. Ahora el Estado me pide el certificado de ocupancia y lo necesito cambiar de residencial a comercial. De él dependen mis dos hermanos, yo, un pintor, un enderezador y un mecánico. Me agradaría mucho que lo cambiáramos. Yo tengo un portón muy grande por enfrente, 40 pies. Al lado está la calle San Leonardo. Tengo otro portón de 40 pies y a un lado está el parque. No le estorbo a nadie, no le quito el parqueadero a nadie. Y enfrente de mí está otro lote de carros con B3 también. Enfrente otros negocios y a un lado también. Estoy rodeada de negocios, no le afecto a nadie y tampoco le molesto a nadie. Me agradecería cambiar la zona de mi propiedad. Gracias.
Gracias.
Mr. Chairman, a
Yes.
question. Una pregunta, señora Estrada. Solo si nos puede contar un poco sobre el negocio. ¿Es para venta de carros?
Es venta de carros.
Venta.
Ahí he estado por 35 años yo. Y ahora el Estado me pide certificado de ocupancia y desde mayo de este año estamos nosotros en hold esta licencia, no nos lo quiere dar el Estado, precisamente por eso, porque necesitamos el cambio de zona. No le afecto a nadie absolutamente. Yo estoy pegada al puente, no tengo ni vecino por un lado, ni vecino por el otro, porque es una calle y enfrente es un lote de carros también con B3 y como les digo, dependen 5 familias de ello.
Y perdón, ¿cuántos años lleva el
35 años ya.
35.
Y cuando nosotros llegamos ahí no estaba ni pavimentada la calle todavía.
Ok, gracias.
Good evening, honorable members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Lupita Cepeda. I'm a property owner on the 200 block of Victoria, which is around the corner from 120 Houston Street. I have several of my neighbors that are opposing as well. They were not able to come tonight. And the reason we want to oppose is that our street, we go down Victoria, take a ride to San Leonardo in order to get out to Houston or Matamoros. If any of you have been down that street, it is very small. And the businesses that are around this car lot take up a lot of the parking spaces on the street. And with an additional business, guess what? It's gonna block the street. Our concern as neighbors is for the fire department not to be able to get through, or the ambulance. And we do have some senior citizens that live in that area, so we're asking that you deny the zone change. Thank you.
Thank you. So staff supporting this item, can you give some background as far as how you came to support the item for the zone change?
So if you were to look at the zoning map, there's a significant change that happened here on Houston Street. This is Guadalupe that transitions into Houston. The area is B1 out. We have some, I believe the darker pink would be the B3s. The darker, so there has been B3s in this area. Next to it, on the east side, there is a park. You can see that to the east side. So it wouldn't impact that portion because it is a park.
Okay. Are there any other questions? This is a public hearing. You can, please come forward.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Guadalupe Gómez y yo vivo en la 202 Matamoros, que colinda con la San Leonardo.
¿Puedes usar la otra micrófono, por favor?
¿Cuál?
La chiquita que está aquí. Ándale.
Okay. Mi nombre es Guadalupe Gómez, vivo en la 202 Matamoros y colinda con la San Leonardo. Yo estoy de acuerdo con la señora que acaba de hablar porque la calle San Leonardo siempre está llena de carros y cuando vienen a visitar a mi mamá no hay espacio para que se estacionen. Inclusive ahorita que me vine estaba lleno con carros que no tienen placas y si me vienen a visitar no hay donde se estacionen. Aparte es bien peligroso. A la vuelta también en Matamoros está un body shop que también pones los carros en esa área. Gracias.
Gracias. The size of the lot, how many cars would you allow on a sales lot for this magnitude? And then how would you prevent overspill? Or how is that figured out?
It's hard to determine how many cars can be parked there.
Inventory, so they don't need to park one after another. The parking spaces that they'll need for the office, that does require them to be constructed according to, it has to be able to go head first out and have sufficient maneuvering space, but depending on how big the office is, it would be one for every 200 square feet, so very few. But with regard to the parking on the street, that would be a police matter if nobody can block the right-of-way. So that would be something that police would get involved with.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Any other comments or anyone who's speak in favor or against this item? I'll allow one more. We have a three-person max.
Hola, buenas noches. Yo soy Aleida Estrada y ahorita inclusive, te acaba de comentar la señora que hay muchos carros, ahorita no hay ni un carro de lote, o sea que toda esa gente que dice que hay, no son por parte del lote. Y sí me gustaría que fuera, porque pues es progreso para la economía, para la ciudad, porque si no se mueve el negocio, pues no hay economía. Y sí, todos esos carros que están ahorita no son de
por parte del otro porque no hay ni un solo carro.
Gracias. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a comment. Solo para avisarle al público,
Perdón.
solo les quiero avisar al público que los que están por estas calles de San Leonardo, Matamoros, etcétera, si ustedes que viven ahí, si notan un carro que está ahí por más de 48 horas, lo pueden reportar a 311, a la policía, porque eso es ilegal. Esos carros que están ahí por mucho tiempo sin placas, etcétera, ese problema se ve mucho en el centro de Laredo y lo han estado viendo con la policía.
So the cars that are parked there are usually customers of the businesses around us,
Okay.
and they don't stay there for 48 hours. Okay? They're usually blocking in the morning when they're there at the businesses to attend either the Global Technologies or maybe the car lot across the street. On Matamoros, we have some more car lots. Yeah, they're there temporarily. And we know the rules, what to do, but they're not long enough there that we can call
Oh, I thought it was
and get them
overnight.
towed. No.
Okay.
Now, that happens on Houston as well, because one of the businesses that is at the corner of San Leonardo and Houston has their company vehicles on Houston. And if y'all haven't been down Houston, it's a very high traffic street. So is Matamoros. So it's very hard for us to get out with all these cars parked on either side. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those houses are rent houses. And guess what? They don't have ports. So they got to park on the street. So it makes it very difficult if you allow another business to open up, because it's just going to create more cars on San Leonardo to try to get us out from Victoria down San Leonardo to Houston and
And I'm sorry, she made a comment that the business has been
But they couldn't go out.
in operations for 25 years or
35.
35 years?
It's not the only
So
way.
how would,
well, apparently she's been doing a B1, so why are we having to change it to a B3?
well,
The car lot.
the car lot, but it's been operating as a car lot for 35 years?
But she's been there.
Okay.
She has been there, but it's been a B1, so I don't know what the difference is now to be a B3.
Per permit with the state.
But the last time we were here, she was asked to come and talk to the planning and zoning. And that you all were going to provide some additional things that she needed to meet and stay within a B1. But she never did. Because I kept looking for it for city council, and it never came to city council.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I had a question for staff. Do you guys know how that works as far as, does the state require you to be in a B3 if you have a car lot?
It may be the case that they're asking for assurances that they have the correct zone.
And, okay, so, but did you all actually see the documentation that's needed for them to be?
No, have you all? No.
So I'd feel comfortable in looking at it and discussing that, just to see if that's the case. But, because, like they mentioned, she's been in operation already under B1 for all this time, so if that's a new requirement that's required of the state to have a zoning, a B3 zoning for it, I don't.
I mean, the only thing we're talking right now is being legal non-conforming
Right,
for the last.
and I don't know if there's an
15
exemption
years.
to be able to tell the state, I don't need the B3 because I'm legal non-conforming, I've been doing this for 30 years. And I have to require the zone change.
The only thing is, I can think of is maybe the business was shut down for a certain amount of time maybe, and lost
That's
the,
different, yeah, not, they lost the legal
Non-conforming status.
non-conforming. ¿Sabe? I don't know if we can ask the applicant.
el aplicante.
Sí, 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 teníamos una pregunta, es que nomás estamos tratando de saber si ha estado ahí en su negocio por 20 años o más.
Hemos estado 35 años
35.
y nunca solicité esto porque el Estado en Austin nunca me lo requería el certificado de ocupancia valiéndose de mi papá y de mi abuelo, entonces nunca me lo requería. Apenas me lo está empezando a requerir y no nomás a mí, sino a todos los demás lotes de carros.
¿Nomás
Por-
son solamente los lotes de carros que le están pidiendo
Pues yo
la
tengo
zona
más-
específica?
Yo
O
tengo más contacto con lotes de carros y no nos dan la licencia hasta que no demos el certificado de ocupancia. Por eso es que tengo 35 años, como le digo, no estaba
pero la
pavimentado.
certificante de ocupancia no tiene nada que ver con la zona de,
No,
del
ya,
uso.
ya fui al Planning Department y me dicen que no me lo dan porque está como B1, que tiene que estar B3 para que me puedan dar el certificado de ocupancia. Y en Austin es lo que quieren, el certificado de ocupancia para poderme darlo. Nunca me lo habían pedido, refiriéndose a los muchos años que cada año renovamos la licencia y viene esto desde atrás de mi padre y mi abuelo. Entonces por eso yo nunca lo había hecho, si no lo hubiera hecho hace muchos años, ¿verdad? Ahora, con respecto a los carros que se estacionan en Globo PCNet que tengo a un lado, pero yo no tengo una...
Sí, no se puede decir si sos Global Net,
Ya,
con
o
negocios ahí o su negocio o
yo
cualquier
tengo un
negocio.
negocio casi de media cuadra para mí sola y ni que tuviera yo 20, 30 carros. Todo se estaciona dentro de mi propiedad. Al contrario, siempre se me andan estacionando a un lado y no digo nada. Mi negocio es casi media cuadra, media manzana. Y
Pero-
tengo 40 pies de frente y 40 de un portón muy grande.
Sí, sí, yo
A un
entiendo.
lado está un parque, nadie me molesta.
Está bien. Lo que le estoy preguntando, la otra pregunta es, ¿no es porque cerró su negocio y ahora está tratando de abrir? ¿Nunca cerró su negocio?
No, yo sigo vigente.
No,
Nomás
nunca ha
mi
cerrado.
licencia en Austin la están esperando mi certificado de ocupancia para podérmela renovar, pero yo ya pagué, ya tengo todo. Nomás es lo único que me está faltando y son 35 años lo que tengo ahí.
Why would occupancy affect the zone?
The building department issues certificates of occupancy and they're gonna check that it meets all the performance standards, including zoning, before they issue it. So they obviously
So
made the
she
determination
probably-
it doesn't meet it.
She probably went to building, asking for occupancy. They saw that the zone wasn't the correct zone, so then building kicks them over to us, so that we have to go through the process to put them in the
But
right zone.
the fact that she was non-conforming use, that doesn't,
Yeah, why would you
has no
consider that?
standing with the building department?
Right.
It would be, the building official would make the call on whether it stays non-conforming or not, and then at that point, they kick it over to us.
Is anyone from building here that we
No,
can?
I don't think so.
And so we'll assume that they made that determination that
I'd probably rather have building here, recommend postponing the item until we can get some of these questions answered.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
ask one more question?
Yes, you may.
For the planning department, does her type of business, do we require a certain number of parking spots for their clients?
So when she is gonna go back to the building department for her certificate of occupancy, she'll get inspected. And based on her office, the square footage, they'll determine, how many parking spaces she would need for her employees and customers.
And customers?
And customers, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Gracias.
Si algo tengo yo es espacio. Es mucho, es el terreno más grande que hay en esa cuadra. Porque es una propiedad ya vieja de las anteriores.
¿Hubo un cambio de nombre de dueño?
No, siempre ha sido
Siempre.
la Estrada Autos.
Y siempre estaba abierto, nunca
Siempre estaba
cerrado.
She applied for the renewal permit of the leadership license, is what happened, and they,
Correct, so when she went to the building department, it probably triggered
all right, sure, with that.
to go and check out.
If there's no other questions or comments, what would the commission like to do in this case?
I don't know if we can discuss this, but I feel comfortable asking some questions to the building department on how this process works. So I would make the motion to postpone the item and have building department come to our next meeting.
Item
I'm certain.
Time certain?
Yeah, so they can come right away.
I would second that.
Yeah. So we have a motion to table this item, time certain, for the building department to be present to discuss this matter, and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6B. Amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Laredo by rezoning Lot 5, Block 1261, Eastern Division, located at 2219 Plum Street from R1 Single Family Residential District to R3 Mixed Residential District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, applicant is Roberto C. Garza Martinez. They're the owner. Roberto Garza is the representative. The property description is Lot 5, Block 1261, Eastern Division, located at 2219 Plum Street. The zone change request is from an R1 to an R3. Proposed use is residential, a second residential dwelling. Letter sent or 31 for 0 against 0. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Zoning overview. Future land use. Staff recommendation, staff does not support the proposed zone change. Proposed motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this item, please come forward.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Roberto Garza, soy papá de mi hijo que es Roberto Catarino, es el dueño de la propiedad. Nosotros estamos solicitando el cambio de zona porque cuando nosotros compramos esa propiedad hace 3 años, había su casita, una casita, estamos en la esquina de Plum y Jarvis, es una esquina. Ahí está su casa y está atrás, como que usaban como para un taller. Y nosotros nos dimos cuenta que esa propiedad tenía 2 construcciones, una casa y como un taller. Y los dos tienen medidor, todos los dos tenían medidor y 2 casitas. Nosotros reparamos el techo porque pedimos permiso en la ciudad para reparar el techo. Y yo hablé con los del AMP para decirles que si yo tenía la posibilidad de poner otro medidor ahí. Me dijeron que sí, que por más de 40 años han tenido 2 medidores ese terreno. Entonces nosotros reparamos el cuartito, las casitas, que ese lugar da por la calle Jarvis, y lo reparamos y todo, y pedimos permiso a la ciudad para repararlo. Y cuando nosotros vinimos a la ciudad para decirles que queríamos la inspección para que el AMP me conectara el segundo medidor, porque ese segundo medidor tiene su ID number, y me dijeron a mí los de la AMP que no había ningún problema, y los de la ciudad me dijeron que no se podía, que ese era un problema, o simplemente que hace 40 años lo dieron ilegalmente por referirse a la zona, ¿verdad? Que es R1, R3, y esa es la razón por la cual nosotros queremos tener otro medidor en ese lugarcito, en esa casita. Y como por más de 40 años lo han tenido, pues por eso solicitamos ese cambio nosotros.
Gracias.
Una pregunta.
Yes.
Una pregunta para, bueno, sobre el medidor. ¿Se podría usar el mismo medidor para las 2 casas?
No.
¿Se necesitan 2?
Sí.
Ok.
Any questions, staff?
¿Son 2 diferentes dueños de la propiedad o son solamente una?
No, es un solo terreno y es un solo dueño. Pero como hace esquina Plum y Jarvis, y en la calle Plum, la casita que está ahí, pues tiene su medidor. Por la calle Jarvis, como que antiguamente ahí era un taller, como que el dueño lo usaba como taller, porque usted puede verlo ahí en Google, eso. Era como un taller. Entonces cuando compramos, nos dimos cuenta que los 2 tenían medidor. Entonces dijimos, mira, vamos a echar a andar estos cuartos, porque ya estaban ahí los cuartos. Pedimos permiso a la ciudad, tumbamos una parte del techo, porque el techo llegaba hasta la calle, lo tumbamos, y nomás dejamos un cuartito, una cocina y su baño. Y cuando yo hablé con los de AMP, precisamente los de AMP fueron hasta la propiedad y me dijeron, no hay ningún problema, aquí tiene su ID number, tiene más de 40 años teniendo 2 medidores, y tú puedes hacerlo. Entonces ya hicimos todo de nuevo, reparamos, pedimos permiso a la ciudad para hacer la reparación y todo. Y cuando fuimos a la ciudad a solicitar la inspección, haz de cuenta, final, para que me dé la autorización de que AMP me conecte, y la ciudad me dice que no. Entonces, por eso es la razón de que queremos un cambio de zona, porque alguien me dijo, pues puedes hacerlo con un cambio de zona, y pues ya nos animamos a hacer el cambio de zona.
¿Y esa casita qué quieres hacer con ella?
Pues la verdad quiero rentarla. Quiero rentarla, es un cuartito, no separaría ningún mueble en la calle, no nada, tiene su espacio para parar un carro exactamente muy bien, y creemos que no molestaríamos a nadie allí.
So this zone, it's an R1 zone. If you consider an R3 in this area, that also allows for potential of putting a mobile home on the property. So it's, that's something that we didn't want for this area. of the property. I know what he's talking about. I know the accessory dwellings is a big discussion, that's out there. But at this time, in the city of Laredo, we don't offer that accessory dwelling. And in his case, the R3, which the applicant is requesting, is the closest thing he can get to putting something on there. But like I said, it also includes a mobile home. And so at this time, we don't support the zone change.
The R2 would not be an option.
He'd have to apply, but
Wouldn't
we
allow
wouldn't,
for the second dwelling unit.
yeah.
The R2 would not? Okay.
I'm no electrical engineer, but couldn't that same meter serve this?
I believe that was the question that was asked,
Yeah,
if he could show
because
one.
I would,
That
And you
would
just-
be an electrician, I guess, to determine. As far as AEP and what they did, I mean, that's a whole different company. That's a private company. They don't necessarily represent the city and the ordinances that the city follows, so.
and I know why he wants a meter, so it can be, he can pay for his own
Absolutely.
electricity, right? And so,
Absolutely.
but maybe there's other ways he can still use his property for rental, might just not be with separate meters.
Gracias. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak against or for this item, please come forward. Are there any questions for staff or any comments? Or if not, would you like to make a motion to close public hearing and take action?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and support the staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6C, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 2.65 acres of land as further described in by meets and bounds in attached Exhibit A, located north of La Terraza Way and east of Ejido Avenue from R1A Single Family Reduced Area District to B1 Limited Business District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have ALS Laredo Holdings LLC owner, and we have Pedro Alegria as applicant and Sherpa Engineering as the representative. Property location, approximately 2.65 acres located north of La Terraza Way and east of Ejido Avenue. Zone change request is from an R1A to B1. Proposed use is commercial, and the applicant did not identify the specific proposed commercial use. Letter sent for 45, we have none for and none against. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this item, please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Frank Estrada with Sherpa Engineering, here to speak in favor of the proposed zone change and answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for the applicant, engineer? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak against this item? If not, if there are any other questions or comments for the action the commission like to take?
Motion to close public hearing and go with staff recommendation.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6D. Amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 7.043 acres as further described by meets and bounds in attached Exhibit A located south of Facultad Boulevard and west of US Highway 83 from AG Agriculture District to R1B Single Family High Density District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have HAPO Holdings LLC as the owner, and we have Portis Nance Engineering as the applicant representative. Property location, approximately 7.043 acres located south of Facultad Boulevard and west of US Highway 83. Zone change request is from an AG to R1B, and proposed use is residential. Letter sent is 13, none for, none against. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
Thank you. It's a public hearing.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Wayne Nance with Portis Engineering. We're in support of the zone change, and we're here to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the engineer? Thank you.
Thank you.
This public hearing, anyone who wishes to speak in favor or against this item? If not, any questions for the commission?
More of a comment. I think this is yet another one that I'm uncomfortable with because of the lack of information that we have about the current utilities policies. And even the water master plan has been taken down from the website for some time now. So I feel unsure about what policies are in place. Even though I think the developers and the engineers are aware of them, we don't know exactly, we can't feel confident that looped lines will be managed throughout this project and mistakes that have happened in the past with utilities on these sort of sprawl projects.
So this developed is a master plan that was submitted. It's been reviewed by utilities. Now, as far as looping the lines and things of that nature, that falls under the utilities department to take care of, to provide the pressure or whatever is needed. There's no separation of land between this project and which would be the college, which was the furthest south, so it's all connected. So as far as sprawl, this is connected to our other developments. The utilities run in conjunction with this whole area. Most of the sprawl that we're having, that what you're talking about and what we're worried about are these bigger tracks that are further down and they're not close to water. There's just no water down there. Those are the ones that we're concerned with because it'll jump a tract of land and then you'll have development happening with a big gap between it. And that's when we get into the problems of having to get services to those people. This current project is a master plan project with its phases. And the engineers coming in with this phase, they're going through the plat process. I believe we might have one going today. So I understand your concern with that, but I would say that the utilities issues is with utilities, and the developer won't be able to move forward if he doesn't have it. Today, what's in front of you on this particular issue is a zone change. He still has to go through the planning process, and that's when you'll get into the technicalities of that. But what's in front of you today is a request to go from ag to an R1B.
Okay, and then one more question. So it says here that this would be an isolated zoning district. Is that right? Because it doesn't look completely isolated.
I would tend to say it's not, because it is connected. It's separated by a road, but it's part of his master plan of what he's going to be developing on, and I believe it's going to continue at R1B, if not residential. A form of residential is going to go in this area.
So really it's not isolated?
It's not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there's no other comments or questions, what sort of action would the commission like to take?
Close public hearing, go with staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6E, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 31.641 acres as further described by meets and bounds and attached Exhibit A, located south of Facultad Boulevard and west of US Highway 83 from AG Agricultural District to R1MH Single Family Manufactured Housing District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have HAPO Holdings LLC owner, and we have Porras Nance Engineering as the applicant representative. Property location is approximately 31.641 acres located south of Facultad Boulevard and west of US Highway 83. Zone change request is from an AG to R1MH. Proposed use is residential. Letter sent were 3. We have none for, none against. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Zoning map. Featured land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
Thank you. Public hearing.
Chairman, Wayne, once again with Borderless Engineering, and we support the zone change. Any other questions? It's a continuation of the last zone change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing, anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or against? Are there any comments or questions from the commission? If not, what sort of action would the commission like to take?
I recommend we close the public hearing and approve the staff recommendation.
We have a motion? Second. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6F, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by rezoning 2.38 acre tract of land as further described by meets and bounds in attached Exhibit A, located south of State Highway 359 and east of Ranch Road 6086D, from R1 Single Family Residential District to M1 Light Manufacturing District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have BG International LLC as the owner, and we have Edward Garza as the applicant representative. Property location, approximately 2.38 acres, located south of State Highway 359 and east of Ranch Road 6086D. Zone change request is from an R1 to M1. Proposed use is industrial. Letter sent were 12, and we have none for and none against. Location view, aerial view, street view, zone change signage, zoning map, future land use map, and the recommendation is staff supports, and the proposed motion.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak in favor of this item?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Alfredo Martinez with Credit Engineering on behalf of the applicant. We support staff's recommendations, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Are there any questions for the engineer? Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor or against this item? Any questions or comments for the commission on this item?
Motion to close public hearing and go with staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Now moving on to review and consideration of the following master plan. Moving on to item 7A, review and consideration of the Needmore Dolores Track 4 Industrial Subdivision Master Plan. The intent is industrial.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Needmore Ranch, engineers KCI Technologies. Proposed use is industrial, and the zoning for the 7-lot development is not applicable as this tract is located within the ETJ. Location view, aerial view, the proposed master plan, comments from planning, fire, parks and leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you.
Load up a quick presentation.
Yes.
We can use the letter.
Well, whatever's.
Whichever's easier.
This up here.
I think more engineers should do presentations.
I think, yeah.
Like that? Yeah. How long did it take Jay to do the presentation?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Jeff Twigg with KCI Technologies representing the applicant. We concur with all of the comments. However, we'd like to discuss items number 3 and 4 in a little bit of detail just to get some clarification to the commission. First of all, I'd want to let everyone know that we have had meetings with the adjacent landowner, TxDOT, the city planning department, and traffic department. We have, during that first initial meeting with the adjacent landowner and TxDOT, we came to a resolution that the property that I represent would access the road, as you can see on the drawing, at the very top point, and we would access that location, and then we would be able to then come down to the to State Highway 255. You know, Rafa, once you put the current application on that we have for the master plan, okay, the current one, these are options that were discussed, and I'll get to those in a minute. Just so that everyone can see what we submitted for the master plan before we talk about options.
Is that the, what we have in our packet?
Yes, what you have in the packet. Yes, what you have in the packet. So what you see on the screen is what we've submitted for our master plan. And during the first meeting that we've had with TxDOT, it was agreed that my property, the clients that I represent property would access that single road along the backside, and that we would then not be required to construct the road going to FM 1472, and we would provide a reserve for that road. With that, we would also be granted an access to the tract that we have off of State Highway 255. Everyone was in agreement with this option to move forward. Subsequent meetings that we had with both the city planning department and the city traffic department, as well as TxDOT, there was a concern. Their concern was that once we came in, my client came in to develop, and we connected to the back of that road, that would allow all properties to the north to now use that shortcut to State Highway 255. TxDOT, along with the city, was very concerned about the amount of traffic that then would then come down that single road. So TxDOT and the city challenged us, which was brought before you all as well, and there was a comment that was removed, to meet with the adjacent landowner to discuss other options. And at this time, I'd like to show you some of the options that we discussed, and then end up where we are now today. So as you can see, the first option that we went over was a way to separate the two property owners from the north property.
Jeff, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
Continue? I'm trying to get my bearings straight here.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about 3 different property owners, right? Can you highlight the different who owns what, and who do you represent, and who are the other 2 property owners?
Okay. We represent the area on the left side of the exhibit.
Could you point out, or maybe highlight it?
You can use the mouse.
Okay. Right here.
Yeah.
The adjacent property owner is developing Wisdom Industrial Park.
Which, none of this is developed other than 255 in Mines Road,
Other
right?
than 255 and Mines Road are developed right now, that's correct.
And this is a master plan. Is this your master plan, or is this the other property owner's master plan?
No, these are options that we presented to the adjacent property owner, but tried to resolve the conflict.
But is the adjacent property owner part of this master plan?
Not part of ours, no.
Two separate master plans.
They're two
Okay,
separate
so,
master
but,
plans.
so then we're just looking at your master plan, but we're talking about someone else's master plan as well?
Correct, right now we are, yes.
Because
on my
of the
master
way the
plan,
streets connect
like
and
I said
and
before.
how the master plans are gonna work.
Correct. To go back to my master plan, it only involves the road connection on the north, because we own a strip, my client owns the strip of 60 feet on the north, and he owns a strip right here as well. So he owns, if you look at the odd configuration, they reserve strips for access. And when they sold the adjacent property to the current client.
Okay.
And when people were purchasing, I guess, in the area. So this subdivision here is a different landowner, and they've already got approval from TxDOT for their access driveway.
Right.
Understand?
Yeah, so that they've got their access up to 55, and they'll be servicing those lots to the right that are kind of
Yes,
dashed.
these ones right here.
Those.
They've got access on 1472, and they have access on 255.
And that's that corner.
And that's
there.
this corner.
And you
Correct.
guys are, I
And
see the
then
red there.
Wisdom had came before you, and they got an approval to go all the way through with one single road and connecting to our 60-foot. And they were giving 10 foot of reserve, and we were to give another 60 feet of reserve. Okay?
So, excuse me,
Yes.
before he goes on, can you point out where the bridge is in reference to this? This is the Columbia Bridge,
Right here, Columbus Solidarity.
right there, and 255 runs along there. So our concern was such big acreage coming out, everybody coming out right at that point, 2 blocks away from the bridge, which would create, a big traffic issue. So we had asked the landowners to visit and try to come up with different concepts, and that's what he's going over right now.
So I'm just presenting the concepts that we've discussed between the adjacent landowner and us. So we discussed this option of doing a single access and looping back through my client's property and connecting back to his. It was a little bit more road length for the adjacent property owner, but different scenarios. But it did limit this access from the north property to State Highway 255. They would have to use our reserve and then come out to 1472, any development that occurred to the north. This was one option that would do what TxDOT asked us to look at and what the city asked us to look at, separate the two. The second option was quite extreme, where we were both just given driveways along 255 to service the front lots, and then we both had to come out on the back. That was kind of extreme. The next option was to consider multiple points of access to 255 and 1472. But it still gave access to the property owner to the north. Option number fifth option is we said, well, let's shorten our road lengths. Let's only give reserve for the landowner. In other words, we'll give up our land so that they can build their roadway if they so choose to develop to the north. And then we shorten all of our roadways and we come out at a single point location. This was probably the most favorable that my client would like to pursue. The only objection that we had was that we did not own this piece right here, which is about 360 feet or so, that we would have to get the adjacent property owner to give us a reserve. We're not asking him to build it, but give us a reserve so that we could access it. We were told by the adjacent property owner's representative that they were too far along in the process. The city had already requested, TxDOT was okay already with us coming and connecting to the back, but yet, like I stand here today to tell you, they're not okay with it, and neither is the city, because it opens up too many possibilities. Once my client develops the land, then everything comes, and it comes down to 255. So this was our concern, and we're simply here to try to find a solution, work with the adjacent property owner, work with the city, and obviously work with TxDOT on their access points. So right now we've come forward, if you want to flip back over to what we're showing on the master plan.
One quick question before you change the image.
Oh, go ahead.
So this north to south road has already been approved for Wisdom?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to go.
Yes, that came.
All the way north.
It came about a month ago to you all. We were unaware that they were coming back in for a lot change because we were still negotiating. One of the solutions, obviously, that I also didn't kind of talk about was they were willing to purchase the 12 acres adjacent to us, which is this property here. So they have made a proposal to purchase that property from us, and then we would still connect to the top up here. And my client was okay with that, and that's what we're looking at right now, but it didn't resolve the solution or the problem that the TxDOT had, and it didn't resolve the problem that the city had with the amount of traffic coming onto 255. It would actually make us have to make that connection.
Okay, and has TxDOT approved the north to south that was approved for Wisdom?
Well, they haven't approved, they haven't given a permit for the driveway, and I can't really speak, I don't know where they are in the process, and I may be speaking out of turn, but we'd have to check with the adjacent landowner or their representative.
Okay, thanks.
But we have made a phone call to the state. We let them know the issues that we have, and that we'd like to get everybody in the room so we can go over this. So we have talked to TxDOT.
And is there anybody from TxDOT here tonight?
I don't think so. We invited them, but they didn't come out.
The Wisdom project that came before us the last meeting, correct?
2 meetings ago, yeah.
Was it last meeting? Or-
2 meetings ago, at least. I know I was here that day, and I wasn't here last meeting, so I think it was 2 meetings ago. But it really would be nice to have TxDOT here to answer these questions. I mean, because I think there's a lot of things of doubt, we've been, told one thing, and which I'm not, you're told one thing, but till tech's not here and answer for themselves, we're just really just stabbing in the
And
dark.
again, our concern is that the adjacent landowner be able to move forward with this project all the way till he gets final plat. And then, once he gets final plat, he posts a letter of credit, the plat gets on record, and now we're back to where we are right now, where we connect to the top. And if the city's okay with that, we can connect up there, but we would have to get a guarantee, and that's what we're bringing today in our master plan, that we would not have to build the road to 255. Someone else would have to do that. And that was what was discussed at the TxDOT meeting. And give us just a driveway off of State Highway 255.
And then your concern with comments 3 and 4 are what?
We've exhausted our efforts in talking with the adjacent landowner.
Okay.
And they have come to you and they've said that they don't want to deal with us, they want to just move forward. And that was what was presented at the last meeting. That was what was approved with you all. You all removed the comment from their item and said, go forward. Well, the comment's back on ours, and really, we need to get some resolution on how my client's going to gain access. So, do we get our own connection and road to State Highway 255 just like the other two did? Or do we get with the commission and have a resolution come forward?
Do we have any input from the traffic department or the bridge department?
Not from traffic and not from the bridge. And 255 is a state highway, so the state, that's their jurisdiction. They would be the ones who would have to make the determination how they're going to connect. And that's why we called to have a meeting with them so that we can go over this, because the initial discussion was, you guys need to get together and figure this out. All right? And so our concern is that if the other landowner goes forward, they don't block, but they make it much more difficult for this landowner. And that wasn't what we were trying to do. We were trying to make them
To work in an equitable situation for all parties, and it would create a situation where we would be building a significant amount of roadway for access, and we'd be stuck with what we've got.
I guess the question is more about like any lessons learned that maybe similar situations that may have happened in the past, to see like how the city has resolved this in maybe in other areas.
Well, bottom line is they're gonna have to work with each other. I mean, the developers pretty much work with each other. Engineers talk all the time to try to figure out how they're gonna align their roads together for master plans and that. Here, I think there just needs to be more discussion before they bring this forward to us. You know, there's still some questions to be answered, and I think the illusion in a presentation to y'all was that they did agree, and we're finding out that they did not. And so that wasn't fair to you all, because you thought it was all, been agreed upon and everybody walked away happy, but we come to find out that that's not necessarily the case. So we'd really like for them to get together and bring in TxDOT and try to kind of work together on this.
Do you currently have access to 255 right now, right?
Frontage, yes.
Frontage.
Yes, we do.
So the other access is just the back of the property, or?
That's correct.
That's the main concern.
So, as you can see on the master plan in front of you, we're coming in requesting a reserve to be approved so that we can pursue our own roadway and driveway. That's the only recourse that we have to access within reasonable proximity to our property on 255. So now we're basically fighting against the neighbor, trying to say, well, you go get your permit, I'm gonna go get my permit. And we don't really wanna do that. We'd like to agree on something that we both come together on. But I don't have the authority to make that happen. I don't own that property. I can't force them to do something. Now, the commission can push however direction you want. You all asked them to extend the road straight through. Their original plan did not extend the road straight through. But it was brought forward, the request was extend the road straight through. So they met your request, but now it's creating some other issues with access.
I think one of the concerns, Mr. Navarro, is I know we've had, not you guys, but there was a specific engineer who it's easy to say, We've spoken to TxDOT, they're in agreement, and then I'll speak to someone from TxDOT, and they said they never heard or were in agreement with that issue.
Right.
So that's a big concern right now, because I would like for TxDOT to be here, or at least a letter. And I remember telling myself, next time we do something like this, it'd be a good idea to provide something in writing whenever engineers are speaking of TxDOT's opinion, to provide something written in other words, for us to be able to have some clarity there. So the only concern is I would like for TxDOT to be here, I would like traffic to be here. I thought it was a great idea about the folks from the bridge area, since they'll be impacting this whole area as well with that. I don't know if there's a way, we can bring those parties together and we can discuss here what the situations are happening to get a better idea and a better recommendation.
I agree with you. We do invite all departments to our meetings. It's something that we have to just keep requesting them to come to our meetings, but we definitely can call for TxDOT to be here so we can specifically talk about this item. Mr. Puig, at this point, are you asking to?
Well, at this point, I mean, we can approve, we have no objection to any of the comments, and we will work with the adjacent landowner if you want to approve the current master plan, but the current master plan also does not do what the city's looking for, doesn't do what TxDOT's looking for, and it forces us to try to make some resolutions for our own development. I would prefer that we all agree that the adjacent property owner is not going to move forward with his final plat, until the resolution is come to.
So I've asked Mr. Vidaurri to put a comment on the other property, so that if and when it comes here, it does state that they must get together with the other landowner before we can move forward.
And we're willing to meet with the adjacent property owner's representative again and go through it at your all's direction. And I do know, I mean, he's standing up, he's present. So if y'all, Rick? Get the floor.
He didn't have his neck brace here, but Ricardo Villarreal, Topside Civil Group, representing Wisdom, North Laredo Industrial Park, which is Wisdom Industrial Park. We have met, so we have coordinated. Obviously, we try to come up with the best solution here. We've looked at these options. Unfortunately for us, we've actually been here twice. It's not been once. The first time, like Mr. Puig was saying, we had a cul-de-sac. We didn't want the traffic to come through. Contrary to what was just said, the city asked us to extend the roadway. So there was some, I guess, request to bring that roadway up. Coming here, speaking to my client's from, he's actually from out of the country in Mexico. He's an investor out of Mexico. So trying to get him here, sitting him down, looking at all the details. What TxDOT was really concerned about was that there was going to be 3 separate driveway permit applications. So 3 separate driveway permit applications within a close proximity, even though probably parameters allow for it, right? Obviously, you got to look at everything case-to-case basis. So how did my client approach that situation is, there's been an offer made for that track to eliminate at least 1 out of the 3, which is a great percentage, right? We're still waiting for, obviously, I'll leave that to the attorneys. It's not a courtroom or anything like that, but an offer has been made to kind of do away with that scenario. We're just going based off of what's been approved twice by the commission. To give it into perspective, we're 90% complete with the construction plans, going through the one-stop shop process and all that. It's kind of hard for the commission to go back and actually include something that's already been approved as far as a reserve. Now, nobody's saying here that TxDOT approved anything, because TxDOT didn't approve anything until the actual driveway permit comes in. But in the meeting that we were called into that, the adjacent landowner for Pallades, I don't know what it's called. SKG, I don't know what the industrial park's called. They were also in there, so we kind of mentioned this scenario, right? And the scenario that TxDOT didn't approve, but was greatly happy if we eliminated one of the access points in there. So that's why took some time, right? Get attorneys involved and everything, get an offer involved, get a price involved. Finally, it has been done, and so we're awaiting that, and that's basically our stance there. Our lot layouts, it's a little bit different than this. There's a bigger lot on the western side, but we're basically just abiding by what the commission asked us to do. And so that far along, it's kind of hard to go back and say, you know, hey, you're gonna do all this, and then, by the way, we're changing your plan. I don't know how that is.
And that might be the case, but my concern is that this is new area by the bridge. This is a new city that we're gonna build, okay? And there's a bigger picture to this than just their land. If we don't get this right, we're gonna make a mess here. And I know it doesn't sound fair, but we really have to double check this. And yes, it came forward, but as we start really dissecting this, it's going to create traffic issues. It's going to be a mess. And so we just want to do this right. We're just asking them to get together and work through this. I don't think that's too far-fetched. You know, you can talk dollars, but this is for the future of Columbia Bridge. And so that's my concern. That's why I would like them to work together. I mean, look at them now. They can stand next to each other. So that's good. And I understand Rick's frustration, but once again, this is not just a piece of land where you're sticking the road and let's move on. This is an international bridge.
We're trying to find a reasonable solution, both equitable and accessible, that we can get to our property and we limit the amount of traffic that comes down to TxDOT. Because obviously, yes, removing the lot out of the picture, it does eliminate our driveway. So we go back to one driveway, but it doesn't eliminate the amount of traffic that could be future coming into that road.
And we also got to look at this as in phases per se, right? I can understand a possible traffic issue in this area if the 2,000 acres north of this, right, develops and this is the sole street. There's still mechanisms in the future in place to reroute traffic, provide cul-de-sacs, TxDOT shuts down driveways a lot, right? But in the near future right now, I mean, this is what we have presented to us in the front. We've provided for certain scenarios that in the future, that option is available to both TxDOT and the municipality. So not only, it hasn't been a month in the making or 2 weeks in the making since he submitted his application. It's been months in the making since we talked about this. Now, this application barely came in, right, after ours. They're still going through annexation and all that. But we have been asked to do twice what the commission did. So, I mean, I'm just here as an accessory to Jeff's item.
Right, Candy?
I'll allow you all to make the choice, and we can table this item to further have more discussions with the adjacent property owner and TxDOT, and possibly have them to make a recommendation that we'll support whatever they choose. And we can do that, or you can approve our master plan right now as is with the reserves on them that gives us the potential to get where we need to get to. I'll leave that call to you all.
Thank you.
I'd like to suggest we table the item. That way we can sit down and we'll try to make this fast, and we're not here to delay y'all. You know, we want to try to get this done as quickly as possible, and that way they can move forward.
We would be in agreement with that time certain.
Okay. And I recommend we really make a good effort, Orly, and if you want to send an email and copy the commission to TxDOT, about this specific issue, especially so they cannot delay any longer, I highly recommend we do that as well.
And also to add to that, Commissioner, the agenda item that we had last time with Wisdom had Councilmember Perez tagged to it. So perhaps that's also a person that can be brought in to help mediate.
We can do that.
So can I have a?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to postpone time certain or uncertain?
Time certain.
Time certain?
Time certain.
Time certain.
We have a motion to postpone time certain.
Second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
For the record, I abstain.
We have one abstention. Motion carries.
I really don't want to mess this up.
Moving on to item 8B. Preliminary consideration of the plat of Embarcadero Southeast Quadrant for Phase 3. The intent is for street right-of-way dedication.
Wait,
Are
what
we on
item?
7B?
It's master, I think we have 3 master plans.
I'm sorry.
It's a mess, about 70.
North Laredo Industrial Park?
Right, 7B.
7B?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, correction. Can we just do 7B?
No, we did,
We did 7. Item 7B, review of the revision of North Laredo Industrial Park Master Plan. The intent is industrial. The purpose of this revision is to reconfigure lots in Phase 6.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is North Laredo Industrial Park, engineers Topside Civil Group. Proposed use is industrial, and the zoning for the 65 lot development is M1. Location view, aerial view, revised master plan, comments from planning, fire, parks and leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you.
For the record, I didn't come for Jeff's previous item. Ricardo Villarreal, representing North Laredo Industrial Park. We concur with staff's comments, and I'm here to answer any questions.
I did have one question for the applicant. The alignment of a Char Ruthinger, have they given you anything that's a little bit more?
So already, not only my client, but the Ruthingers as well have already received right-of-way acquisition, the proposals for right-of-way acquisitions. We've already laid out the surveys and they match.
They match up, okay.
I had one more question.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, do you have any response to the the Parks and Leisure comment about the detention pond?
So since this is a commercial slash industrial, more industrial, for the platted lots already, there's already a maintenance and monitoring agreement in place. So basically the association is responsible to maintain those ponds. The only two that are not part of that maintenance and monitoring agreement is Phase 5, which is currently under construction. At the time of recordation, we would need to provide another maintenance and monitoring agreement specifically for those ponds, and we'll include it in the plat. In conclusion, all ponds and drainage structures will be maintained by the association.
Okay, thank you. And is that good for Parks, the Parks Department? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What sort of action would the commission like to take on this item?
Make a motion to approve, subject to the comments.
You have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
For the record, I abstain.
Against? Motion carries with one abstention. Moving on to item 7C. Review of the revision to the San Pedro Ranch Master Plan. The intent is residential, commercial, and institutional. The purpose of this revision is to reconfigure lots in Phase 1.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, this Terra Development Group, engineers Crane Engineering. Proposed use is residential, commercial, and institutional. The zoning for this master plan development is M1, and a portion is located in the ETJ. Location view, the revised master plan. I'm sorry, aerial view, the revised master plan, comments from planning, fire, parks and leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you. The engineer of record here? Yeah.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Commission. Alfredo Martinez with Crane Engineering on behalf of the developer. So we agree with most of the comments as well. We do want to ask, just like we did with the first round, if we could remove comment number 4. And just to give you some background, when we originally came for this master plan, we requested that comment be removed and it was approved with that action. Briefly talked with Rafa earlier, but they were going to talk about it. I don't know if they agree with that request again this time.
Go ahead, Rob.
It's in there, it's a requirement of the ordinance, so. I mean,
That's why it's
in there, it's gonna be the commission's call, but the ordinance does call that they provide that layout in the future.
Right, and so what we explained last time, and it was Eddie with Crane, was just because the vastness of the master plan doesn't make sense for us to go through the detailed lot layouts, especially with the residential. That could all kind of be reconfigured as far as what part of the land is assigned to be residential. Right now, they're just ready to move on that commercial frontage.
The confusion I think that we have is that, when the master plan is submitted, we need to well, not us, but the departments need to calculate the impact this is gonna have. So they're asking for the lot so that they can, utilities can check this for the reasons of what we talked about earlier, if they're able to service this. And if we don't have that, then it's real hard to do those calculations and, you know, there is no such thing as a preliminary master plan. It's just an approved master plan. So if you approve it, then we don't get the information that's required by ordinance.
No, and to address that, I guess the way we handled it is based off the land use we're identifying on there, based off all our experience, we have pretty much a per acre density that we see, which is 5 lots per acre. So we utilize that based off the acreage we're identifying on the master plan to calculate that capacity. And that's in large part why we did the full master plan, to be able to assess how much infrastructure we're gonna need going through phase 1, because that infrastructure we need to connect to that exists is north of Highway 359. So we've gone through all that process, and that was the level of detail. We have a full report addressing water, wastewater, have a TIA based off that same, those same capacities. So if anything, we've already submitted that as part of a one-stop shop submittal, so that's all been reviewed by several departments. And right now, all we're trying to do is follow up with a plat that matches the reduction that we're planning. Because originally, phase 1 was 5 lots and 2 100-foot right-of-ways. Right now, what we're asking for is to just do the 1 lot to the west and 1 100-foot right-of-way. So all that detailed information that is required by the ordinance has been provided.
Is that correct?
But it hasn't been provided as part of your submittal packet.
For, as far as?
For the commission.
Oh, no, it's gone to the utility department, engineering department, the technical review.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the ordinance calls for, and it also gives the commission a good idea or a good understanding of like what the development is gonna look like in the future. Now, again, master plans can be amended, and they typically are, but it gives a good basis for the commission to see what they're looking at and what's coming forward. And
Right.
Again, it's part of the ordinance.
Right. Yeah, and I guess our point is I think we were able to justify taking this approach the previous time we came. All that's occurring right now is we're changing phase 1 and breaking it up into 2 phases, but the lot configuration is staying the same. All the detailed calculations as far as ensuring that we have ample infrastructure, we've gone through all that process. And as you mentioned, what we could do and what the plan is as we do develop those detailed layouts, that will come forward as a master plan revision once we have that, and we're moving closer to developing residential.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I think I'm just a little bit confused. So are you So are you providing the lot configuration for technical review purposes, but not?
No, what we're providing is based off that same master plan you're seeing. We have let's say 100 acres of residential identified for phase one. But we obviously have several phases that include residential, so what we develop is a per acre density. So we apply that to the acreage we're showing. So let's say it's 100 acres.
For the rest of the phases?
Yes, yeah.
And that just doesn't suffice for the ordinance, right? The ratio?
By ordinance, we ask
By lot.
all developers to submit their lots.
In other master plans, do they provide the lot numbers?
They're
Yes.
supposed to, yes. And I can see where it's a challenge for, because, I mean, this is a very large.
It's huge.
development. It's huge, it's huge. Creates a bit of a challenge for them.
So there are exceptions to the rule?
It's what's in the ordinance.
Okay.
We didn't ask for a master plan of 1,300 acres. You know, that was what was submitted, so, you know, they know in advance that they got to do the lots. Yeah.
Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Director, we have the same situation in the coves about where they had an issue with doing the,
And we're making them
yeah, all the lots. I seem to remember that.
So, if we can pull up, I don't know if staff can pull up the master plan. And so, I guess in the bottom right corner, there's an area called phasing summary. That kind of gives you phases, areas, land use. There's what you would put the number of lots based on those phases, right? They could do that. Is that what we're talking about? And then they'll give you a total,
Yeah, that could be
total
done.
lots. But you just calculate the number of acres times whatever.
That's what he's done, yeah, to do that.
Right, but it's not here yet, in this master plan.
No, we're talking about the layouts of the lots.
Actual
Right.
lots, that's what they'd like to see.
Okay. I was gonna shoot.
So I just want to comment that I think it's in the best interest of the city, of the taxpayers, in thinking about the future of water use and utilities infrastructure, to know the specifics so that the departments can kind of plan around that.
Right, no, definitely, we have that in mind too, and when it comes to specifically to water and sewer, we feel we've done more than our due diligence in planning. We've already looked at what the existing infrastructure capacity is there, and that's where we know we can really only go up to phase 3 based off that current master plan when it comes to utilizing the existing sewer infrastructure as it is now, before we have to upgrade it. When it comes to water, we can go up to phase 10 before there's a need for more elevated storage. So we've have a full report that's been submitted to the utilities department. And we coordinated with them in advance, actually, of our initial master plan submittal. So we feel we've done our due diligence as far as it comes to preparing for the future.
I guess this requirement of the ordinance is in that same spirit, right?
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to go with the staff comments.
We have a
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to consideration of the following preliminary plats and preliminary replats. Going on item 8A. Preliminary consideration of the plat of Needmore Dolores, Track 4, Industrial Subdivision, Phase 1.
Can we table it? Yes, can we table?
Huh?
The preliminary of the other? Do we table this, Orly?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Motion to table, time certain?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
For the record, I abstain.
One abstention. Motion carries. Moving on to item 8B. Preliminary consideration of the plat of Embarcadero Southeast Quadrant Phase 3, tentative street right-of-way dedication.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Farias Development, engineers Camacho Hernandez and Associates, proposed uses for the street right-of-way dedication. The zoning for this one lot development is B4 and M1. Location view, aerial view, street view, the proposed plat, comments from planning, fire, parks and leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. Arturo Camacho with Camacho Hernandez and Associates. We concur with staff comments, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Have any questions? If not, what sort of action would the commission like to take?
Motion to approve subject to staff comments.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 8C, preliminary consideration of the LCBB plat. The intent is commercial.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is LCBB Plat. Engineer is Topside Civil Group. The proposed use is commercial and the zoning for this one lot development is B3. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. The proposed plat. Comments from planning. Parks and Leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Ricardo Villarreal. We concur with staff's comments and here to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions, comments? Thank you. What sort of action would the commission like to take?
Motion to approve, subject to comments.
We have a motion to approve, subject to comments.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 8D, preliminary consideration of Lot 1, Block 1, Ariana Turubiat's plat. The intent is residential. I think I said that right.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is ONA Land Sales. Engineers Premier Engineering and Surveying. Proposed use is residential. The zoning for this one lot development is R1. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. The proposed plat. Comments from planning, Parks and Leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you. Mr. Engineer, record here.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Selecting Advisor with Premier Engineering, and we are here to answer any question that you have.
Concur with the comments?
Yes, we concur with the comments.
What sort of action would the commission like to take?
Motion to approve subject to staff comments.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to item 9, moving on to reconsideration of following preliminary plats and preliminary plats, item 9A. Preliminary reconsideration of the plat of North Laredo Industrial Park Subdivision Phase 6. The intent is industrial. The purpose of this reconsideration is to reconfigure lots.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is North Laredo Industrial Park. Is Topside Civil Group. Proposed use is industrial, and the zoning for this 4-lot development is M1. Location view. Aerial view. The proposed plat. Comments from planning. Fire. Parks and Leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you.
Hello again, Ricardo Villarreal with Topside Civil Group representing the client. We concur with all comments, here to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments? If not, what sort of action would the commission like to take?
I recommend that we make subject to staff comments.
Fair approval?
Second.
Comments? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
For the record, I abstain.
We have one abstention. Item 9B, the preliminary reconsideration, the plat of San Pedro Ranch Phase 1, Unit 1. The intent is commercial. The purpose of this reconsideration is to reduce the number of lots in this phase.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Terra Development Group. Engineers Green Engineering. Proposed use is commercial. The zoning for this 1-lot development is M1. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. The proposed plat. Comments from planning, fire, Parks and Leisure, and the proposed motion.
Thank you. Engineer, come forward.
Alfredo Martinez with Crane Engineering, on behalf of the developer. So we agree with most of the comments as, with our original phase one, we are going to request to have the Parks and Leisure Department, comments removed for the reason that this is a commercial development. And, being now that in lieu of the 5 lots, we're only doing 1 lot, we find it feasible to have that request, approved. I know sent an email to Parks. It didn't seem like they were going to agree this time, but I guess we're here to, if there's any other questions or any other discussion we can have to get those comments removed.
Parks like to come forward.
Yes, I don't agree. I think those comments should stay. All commercial development has to comply with the site plan for the plants, for the trees and the shrubs. Even commercial has to comply with those.
And you feel you shouldn't because you're reducing it from the 5 to 1?
No, it's, when you talk about parks, are we talking about an actual?
Oh, no. Well, because there's 2, I had 2 comments. So, the other comment, we have a meeting that we're gonna schedule, so we're gonna coordinate. So, the meeting is tentative, but I think we're gonna schedule it after the 27th. So we're fine. I was just saying that I can't remove the tree comment.
There was, no, the comments under this item were,
It says need a site plan proposal for the green area.
oh,
It's supposed to say plant. I don't know why it says plant.
okay. So the green area is not, a part of this phase of the plan.
Oh, okay. Well, but it's, well, it's in the green area that we have, it's like a future detention pond, but, it's listed in the master plan as, what's right next to it. And so I'm
Yes.
sure that it's gonna serve that area, so,
But yeah, I guess it extends further south into other phases where we can address it through those future phases.
yeah, I need to make sure we have a plan for that little area because it's right next to it and I'm sure that it's an existing pond now, so.
Right, yeah, there's plenty of room for us to engineer access and everything in the future, once we're ready to do that.
Okay, yeah, okay, well, that answers the question.
Yeah, if, I don't know if we go back to the master plan, you can see on the next phases to the south of this, we do show that as part of that phase, so, the plan is to, once those phases come forth, get into all the detailed planning and all that for the green area. Right now, all we're doing with that existing pond is utilizing its capacity for detention.
Okay, yeah.
So I was suggesting that these comments definitely get squared away before phase 2. Because she's gonna need to know that information, so.
No, right, definitely,
wouldn't let it
before
go.
any,
Anything else goes forward.
Yes.
You need to clear it with Parks. Would that work?
right, and before any phase that, I guess, would restrict access to that green area, we can agree with that. 'Cause the next phase that, even then, it might change. Right now, the idea is to go east and continue with those original commercial lots that we had. But another idea that's right now, in the works is, yeah, maybe pushing that single family to the south, ahead of that future commercial. But obviously, a component of that would be addressing all these parks comments.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Do you still want it to stay, correct?
Well, I just want them
To show what they're gonna,
that they're gonna make an effort to design an appropriate space, because it's a large area, and the detention pond is a small proportion, and the green area is much bigger, so it would be a shame if they just, put a fence around it and not do anything with it.
Yeah, no, I can guarantee you that's something we'd like to emphasize in our designs, and we put down a plan that works for everybody, and we definitely want to coordinate with you as far as what the city's looking for, when it comes time to do that.
I think all she's asking is for a site plan proposal. I don't think
Right,
she-
and I guess the reason the sole reason I'm asking, for these comments to be removed is right now with this phase 1, unit 1, we've already gone to one-stop shop, and we don't want, to get held up from that approval because we don't have a detailed plan for the park area yet, where we can address it in the future with these future residential phases.
So could we say something like provide the design plan that she needs before your next phase? Would you be okay with that comment?
I believe so, yeah.
Would you guys be okay with that? Okay. Okay. So we would remove that comment and add, provide the parks plan, before the next phase. We're okay?
Yeah, you can make that into a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to add that into the motion, yeah.
Removing both comments, one comment, I'm sorry.
Would that address both comments?
Well, one's really a question, so it's really just one comment, and we'll just move it to the next phase, so I'm fine
So
with
which comment would that be?
the first one.
So we keep the remove the first, change it, what I just mentioned, and the other stays.
Yeah, it's just for the record that we have questions.
Okay. Are we okay with that?
So we have a motion
We had a
for the amendment?
And we're gonna
The amendment,
have a
right.
meeting, so.
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting, so everything will be.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to consideration of the following final plats and final replats. If there's no objection from commission or from staff,
10B, the applicant asked if that can be tabled.
okay. May I have a motion to hear items 10A, 10C, 10D, and 10E together?
I make a motion to hear items 10A, 10C, 10D, and 10E together.
Second.
Do I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. May I have a motion of action on items 10A, 10C, 10D, and 10E?
Motion to approve items 10A, 10C, 10D, and 10E.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Barron, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
We have to table 10D.
Can we read those into record, please?
Sure. For the record, final consideration of the replat of track 72 Rancho Peñitas West Subdivision Unit 5 into track 72B Rancho Peñitas West Subdivision Phase 5 approved. Final consideration of the plat of Lot 1, Block 3, Port Laredo Industrial Park Unit 3 approved. Final consideration of the replat of Lot 4A, Block 1, McPherson West Subdivision Unit 3, Manor Plaza, into lots 4A1, 4A2, 4A3, 4A4, 4A5, 4A6, 4A7, Block 1, McPherson West Subdivision Unit 3, Manor Plaza, approved. And finally, final consideration of the plat of Cerrito Lindo, Farm Subdivision Phase 9 approved. For the record, those are the ones.
Thank you. May I have a motion to table item 10B?
Motion to table item 10D.
We have a motion. We have a motion. Second by Commissioner Caceres, all in favor? Against? Motion carries. Any director's comments?
The only comment I have is that our staff went to the Texas Planning Association conference, 4 of them. We took the opportunity, it was in, 5. We took the opportunity, being that it was close, to make an effort to send what we fondly call them our younglings. So they got to go, and so just, I think they came back with a lot of ideas. They're ready to change the world.
Nice.
We're happy for that, and so I wanted to let you know that we did that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and then congratulations to Luis Vasquez, who received his master's in public administration.
Congratulations.
And I will say this, I think the 4 of them, and these 2 next to me, all 6 of them have their masters that work for the planning department. I'm the only flunky.
We're only gonna go there. Some things are obvious.
Yeah. Well, and that's why they're great support staff.
Good. Smart man.
Yep.
I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Likewise.
Safe holidays, and if I can have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, and we do plan to have our meetings as scheduled. We don't plan to cancel our planning meetings. So you might have, you'll hear city council but we.
In December they'll cancel.
We keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So just keep that.
Yes.
And our meeting won't be for 3 weeks, correct? Because we won't have one.
Happy birthday, Orly.
Oh, yeah? Todavía está tardado, todavía está tardado. No le trajiste pastel.
You have a question by Commissioner Portillo?
Oh yeah, just when
Comment.
When is the Del Mar like overlay? Wasn't there a meeting or?
Yes,
Already
Able
happened?
Able City was contracted to do
about
two
advising people.
public meetings, so yesterday was the second. They were able to do a presentation, they had a table sections, and they were gonna put their report together and submit. So, once they put that together, we'll have them present their findings to you all, so that we can make our recommendation to city council.
Okay.
The second meeting they had that, I mean, if you don't tell me that it happened or she doesn't mention it, or see it on Facebook, we have no idea that that even happened. And so I know, I'm not that district, but I live in that area, and I get
Right.
phone calls, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we asked them to please
Yeah, I
notify
apologize
us
for
a little
that. We
better,
should have
you
given
know?
them your all's
Yeah,
emails, because
please.
they
Appreciate
have
it.
their email list and,
I guess I didn't make it, I didn't make the cut.
You didn't make
Not the first time, not the first time.
Nope.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries, we're adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.